You probably don't even want a big deal. Right. That's what my mom said. On my birthday, after handing me a protein bar with a pink ribbon on it. Not kidding. That moment, that stupid, surreal moment in the middle of their condo kitchen was when everything snapped. Let me back up. A year ago, my sister Aubrey turned 30. They flew her and two of her best friends to New York for the weekend. I mean, full-blown penthouse suite, rooftop dinners, a Broadway show, custom cake from Milk Bar with edible gold. The works. She posted everything on Instagram with captions like, "Grateful for this magical life and a queen deserves her castle." The comments were full of fire emojis and crying faces and, "Yes, sis queen," and yeah, even I threw a like on it, because whatever, she's my sister. But in the back of my mind, I knew they'd never do that for me. I'm Noah. I'm 32. I work as a paramedic, long hours, constant shifts, barely enough time to eat or sleep. But yeah, I like it. Feels like I matter. I don't post about it. I don't take selfies in uniform. I just show up, do the work, go home. And somehow, that's made me invisible. So last week was my birthday, April 2nd. I didn't plan anything. Didn't make a fuss. I cleared the day just in case something was in the works. You know that tiny, embarrassing hope you try to smother, that maybe this time they'll surprise you? Yeah, that one. Around noon, I got a text from my mom. "Stop by when you're free today." That was it. No happy birthday. No plan. Just a casual line like she was inviting me to help unload groceries. But I went, because I always do. I showed up around 4. Dad was out back hosing the deck. Aubrey was inside, legs up on the couch, scrolling through her phone with her $400 manicured fingers. Mom was in the kitchen, humming to some John Mayer song, like it was just another Tuesday. She looked up when she saw me and said, "Hey, you made it," like I dropped by unannounced. "You said to come." "Oh, yeah, hold on." She turned, reached into a cabinet, and handed me a birthday protein bar, the kind that tastes like drywall, one of those organic, keto-friendly ones she always keeps around just in case someone's hungry. It had a pink ribbon taped around it. Then she slid a card across the counter, plain white, inside a printed quote from a greeting card, 30-something and thriving. No note, no name, just that. I looked at it, then back at her. "This is it." She gave me that look, that passive-aggressive shrug, that's somehow your fault. "Well, you always say you don't like big things. We figured low-key was better. You're not really an event person, right?" This woman just watched Aubrey blow out candles on a literal skyline cake 2 months ago, and now she's gaslighting me into thinking I hate being celebrated. I didn't yell. Didn't throw the bar back at her or flip the counter like I wanted to. I just nodded. Right, low-key. Got it. Aubrey finally looked up from her phone, barely glancing at me. "Happy birthday. Bro, I think there's beer in the fridge." "Gee, thanks." I left after 20 minutes. No one asked me to stay. No one noticed when I left. When I got home, I stared at that card, then at my apartment, and something just cracked. I thought about all the birthdays I let slide, all the favors, all the times I showed up with flowers for Mother's Day, when I drove Dad to the ER last year because Aubrey was too hungover, when I covered Aubrey's Uber bill because she said her card was being weird, when I fixed their damn AC in July during a heat wave while sweating through my uniform. And this was my reward. A protein bar and a generic card. That night, I couldn't sleep. I laid on my back, watching the ceiling fan spin, and just kept asking myself the same question. Why the hell do I keep showing up? They don't see me. They don't value me. I'm just there. The backup sibling, the default child, the emotional handyman, the family tech support, the human fire extinguisher. Aubrey messes up. She's just stressed. I miss a call. Noah's being distant. So around 3 p.m., I opened my laptop. And I booked a one-way flight. Seattle, I don't even know why. I've never been, but I wanted rain. I wanted mountains. I wanted somewhere that didn't remind me of birthday cupcakes I never got. I had vacation time saved. I had a little money set aside. Screw it. I packed a bag, called in the next morning, told work I needed a week, maybe 2. Didn't tell my parents. Didn't tell Aubrey. At the airport, I posted a story, just a photo of my gate, coffee in hand, and a caption. Taking the scenic route this year, no protein bars required. Aubrey viewed it within the hour. So did Mom. No one messaged. Figures. The plane landed just after sunset. Cold air hit my face like a reset button. I checked into a tiny rental near Capitol Hill. Brick walls, squeaky floors, a window that looked out over rooftops. It smelled like dust and freedom. I dropped my bag, sat on the bed, and exhaled for what felt like the first time in years. That night, I wrote a list. Not of things to do, but of things I was done doing. I'm done chasing recognition from people who only see me when it's convenient. I'm done making excuses for why I get less, feel less, matter less. I'm done waiting to be invited to my own damn life. I didn't rage online. Didn't post some viral tell-all, but I wrote, quietly, pages of truth, stuff I'd never said out loud, memories I hadn't touched in years, the time Aubrey broke a vase and blamed me, how Dad laughed when she called me boring. That year I made the dean's list and no one noticed. And you know what? It helped. The next morning, I bought myself a cupcake, big one, double chocolate, whipped frosting, candle on top, sat on a bench in Pike Place and lit it like some kind of defiant ritual. People stared. I didn't care. I whispered to myself, "Happy King birthday, man." And for the first time ever, I meant it. The cupcake tasted better than it had any right to. Maybe it was the frosting. Maybe it was the view. Maybe it was just the fact that, for once, I'd done something just for me. No compromise. No split attention. No shrinking myself for anyone else's comfort. I sat there eating that cupcake like it was a 5-star meal. Candle still smoking, frosting on my thumb. And for 5 full minutes, I didn't think about my mom's blank smile or Aubrey's bored tone or that pathetic ribbon on a protein bar. I just existed. That night in Seattle, I slept like a king rock. No texts, no work alarms, no one expecting anything from me. When I woke up, it was raining. Light, misty, like the whole city had a filter over it. I opened the window and just let the air in. Cold and damp and real, not recycled AC and manufactured cheer. And then I did something I hadn't done in years. I wrote, really wrote. I cracked open my laptop, opened a blank doc, and just started dumping. Not some curated blog post, not something polished, just feelings, raw, ugly, true. Lines like, "They always said I was a low maintenance," but what they meant was easy to ignore. Or, "Apparently, my silence made everyone comfortable enough to never ask if I was okay." By day 3, I stopped checking my phone entirely. No missed calls, no texts, just a blank screen. I didn't even know if they noticed I was gone. Part of me hoped they didn't. Another part of me, it kind of wanted them to panic. Not because I wanted attention, but because I wanted confirmation that my absence mattered. Turns out, it didn't. I got a DM from my cousin Sam that night. Haven't talked to him in forever. He moved to Oregon, got married, does something with forestry now. Cool guy. Always felt more like a friend than family. His message just said, "Saw your story. Hope you're good. That protein bar was wild." I blinked. I didn't even know he followed me. I replied, "You saw that." He sent a laughing emoji. Bro, Aubrey posted pics of her NYC weekend for weeks. Then your mom gave you a granola stick. I'd be in Iceland, not Seattle. That made me laugh harder than it should have. Then he said, not to be that guy, but they've always been like this with you. I stared at that message for a long time. Always. Not lately. Not this time. Always. And suddenly, things started clicking. Not in a dramatic movie montage kind of way, but in a slow, awful, inevitable unraveling. Like, remember when I got accepted into the emergency medicine program and they barely said anything? Or that time I stayed up for 32 hours working a mass casualty call and Dad said, "That's why I told you not to go into a burnout job." But when Aubrey launched a F***kicking candle line, they threw a backyard party with a custom sign and branded cupcakes. Or when I bought Mom a massage gift card for Mother's Day and she said, "You didn't have to, but thank you." But Aubrey posted a selfie holding flowers and got, "My beautiful girl, thank you for always thinking of me." Yeah, always. And then the memory that punched me in the throat, Grandpa's old condo. He always said it'd be mine someday. You're the responsible one. He told me. You'll take care of it. I helped clean it after he passed, fixed the pipes, painted the hallway, paid the HOA for 6 months while probate processed. 2 months ago, Mom said she'd handle the final paperwork, said I was too busy with work. Last week, Aubrey posted, "New NYC base camp. Can't wait to decorate. The building in the background. Grandpa's condo." I zoomed in, saw the balcony railing, same chipped paint I'd covered with outdoor enamel 2 years ago. I literally felt my stomach turn. They gave her the condo. They gave her the condo. The one I maintained, the one I was promised, the one I never asked for, but always assumed I'd earned because I showed up. I felt this cold, quiet fury settle in my chest. Not rage, something worse. Recognition. That night, I didn't cry, I didn't throw anything. I just sat at the tiny kitchen table in my Airbnb, stared out at the rain, and whispered out loud, "I'm done." Not in a petty way, not in a dramatic, cut everyone off way, but in a way that felt like crossing a line inside myself. No more excuses. No more hoping they'll change. No more pretending this *T is normal. So I started building something. Nothing huge, nothing flashy. Just a plan. I emailed a contact from a community health clinic in Seattle I'd met once at a conference, asked if they had per diem paramedic needs. They did. Then I reached out to a friend from college who edits for a lifestyle magazine, asked if she needed freelance health content. She did. It was small, temporary, but it was enough. I extended my stay. 2 weeks became 4. My parents didn't check in. Aubrey didn't text. But Sam did. He kept sending memes and updates on his dog. And for the first time in forever, I felt seen. Not because of a birthday, not because I had a meltdown, just because someone gave a *T without me having to fall apart first. A week later, I got an email from my mom. Not a text, an email. Subject: need to talk. The body. Hey Noah, we've noticed you've been distant. I hope everything's okay. Let us know when you're back in town. Aubrey said you've been traveling a lot. Sounds exciting. That's it. No, we miss you. No, sorry about the birthday. Not even a fake, half-hearted question about what I've been up to. Just vibes, passive, filtered, Instagram-level vibes. And something about Aubrey said made my skin crawl. I didn't reply. Didn't even mark it as read, but I opened a new document and started writing again. This time, not just feelings, not just rants. An actual story. A fictionalized version of my life, exaggerated in some parts, softened in others. But the bones, all real. The golden sibling, the quiet one. The missed birthdays, the apartment stolen with a smile. And the escape, not for revenge, but for survival, it felt good. Not cathartic, not healed, but like I'd stopped bleeding. Like I was finally applying pressure to the wound. By day 30, I'd made my decision. I wasn't just visiting Seattle, I was moving. Not to run, to reset. The first thing I did when I officially decided to stay was buy a secondhand bike. Not a fancy one, just something light enough to haul up the stairs to my studio and solid enough to not rattle like a shopping cart on every bump. That was the start of it, really. A new life, no parade, no proclamation, just a guy on a used bike with a $4 latte and a blank Google Doc full of ghosts. I spent mornings freelancing, writing short articles for the online magazine about heat exhaustion, how to build a trauma kit, why sleep matters more than caffeine. Stuff I could write in my sleep but somehow felt validating, like my experience was finally useful outside an ambulance or a family argument. Afternoons I worked part-time at the clinic. It was chaotic, underfunded, beautiful work. Patients remembered my name. The team respected me. I mattered in a way that wasn't transactional. I kept thinking, this is what it should have always felt like. Not tolerated, not invisible, not the other sibling. 2 weeks into my permanent maybe, I finally got a real message from Mom. This time it was a text. Short, passive, classic. Any idea when you'll be back? Aubrey's planning a dinner and wanted to know if you'd join? Not we miss you. Not how are you? Not sorry we dropped the ball. Just Aubrey, as always, at the center. And me, orbiting like a moon she didn't even notice unless she needed the tides to behave. I didn't respond. I let it sit. A day later, Aubrey texted, no greeting, no emojis, no fluff. Not sure what you're doing with this whole disappearing act, but it's kinda immature. We didn't mean to hurt you. You take everything so personally. I stared at the screen. She could have said sorry. She could have asked, are you okay? Instead, it was that you're immature and we didn't mean it and stop being sensitive in 5 different fonts. It was the same script I'd heard since middle school. Aubrey crashes the car. She's under pressure. I forget to respond once. Noah, you've really got an attitude lately. Aubrey takes my stuff. Let her borrow it. She's your sister. I say this hurts God. Noah, why are you so dramatic? I never replied to her text. I just went for a bike ride. No destination. No playlist. Just the sound of my wheels on wet asphalt and the crackle of something inside me finally burning out. Then came the kicker. One night, I got a DM from a girl I vaguely remembered from high school. Caitlin something. We hadn't talked in over a decade. Her message. Hey random, but Aubrey mentioned you in her newest YouTube video. Thought you should know. I blinked. I didn't even know Aubrey was still doing YouTube. I thought she'd pivoted to Instagram skincare hauls and whatever else influencers pretend is a job. I clicked the link. The video was titled, How I Learned to Let Go of Toxic Family Energy. My stomach dropped. It was 22 minutes of her talking to camera in a cozy, oversized sweater, in Grandpa's old condo, the one I was supposed to have with a candle flickering on the coffee table. She never said my name. But she didn't have to. She talked about a family member who ghosted everyone, how some people play victim when they're just bitter, and how not everyone deserves to be in your circle, even if they share your DNA. At one point, she actually said, they made everything about them, even when we were trying to celebrate something happy. Like, you give someone a card and suddenly they think you hate them. I paused the video, rewound. Yup. She was talking about the F***ing protein bar. I closed the tab, sat in silence, my pulse loud in my ears. She took my pain, twisted it, packaged it, monetized it. got 58,000 views in 2 days, and turned me into the villain in her healing arc. That was the moment something in me snapped, but not into anger, into clarity. This wasn't going to be fixed with a conversation. This wasn't about repair. This was about rewrite. They weren't just ignoring me. They were replacing me. So I did what I always do. I opened my laptop, not for therapy, for strategy. I pulled open the story I'd been writing, the fictionalized one, and decided I wasn't going to hide anymore. I changed the name of the main character back to Noah. I changed his influencer sister back to Aubrey. And I made it personal, a scene-by-scene breakdown of everything, from the condo to the protein bar to the toxic family energy YouTube narrative. I wrote like I was on fire, not to hurt her, but to finally tell the F***king truth. When I finished the draft 2 days later, I sent it to Sam. He replied, "Holy **T, this reads like if Joan Didion had a little brother in trauma." I laughed. Then he said, "You should publish this." And that was the first time I believed maybe I could. That weekend, I went to a local open mic at this cafe near Fremont. Not fancy, just mismatched chairs, cheap wine, a mic with duct tape on the handle. I read a chapter, the one about the condo. People clapped, but afterward, this older woman, late 50s maybe, came up to me, teary-eyed. She said, "I never thought I'd hear someone describe what I went through with my brother. Thank you." And in that moment, I realized something huge. My story wasn't just mine. It was hers, and maybe yours. And maybe the next quiet sibling still waiting for someone to ask, "What do you want?" A week later, I sent the draft to an indie publisher I found online. Didn't expect much, didn't even check my email obsessively like I normally would. Just sent it, let it go. 3 days later, they replied. They wanted to talk. Meanwhile, the texts kept coming. My dad finally broke the silence. "Your mom's worried. We didn't realize you were so upset. Can we talk soon?" I didn't answer. Instead, I posted a story. A photo of my bike leaning against a pine tree at golden hour. Caption: "Healing doesn't always look like hugs. Sometimes it looks like not calling back." No names, but they saw it. Because 10 minutes later, my mom called. I let it ring. Then I put my phone on Do Not Disturb and walked to the bakery down the street for a fresh cinnamon roll. It tasted better than any protein bar I've ever had. You ever have one of those moments where everything's fine on the outside, but your whole body's buzzing like it knows something's coming? That was me. On a random Thursday, 10:17 a.m., sipping burnt diner coffee, working on edits for the manuscript, when I got the email. Subject line: "We want to publish your story." I blinked, reread it. Then again, my throat actually went dry. I thought that was a metaphor until that exact moment. They wanted to buy the book. Real deal. Small advance, modest rollout, but a whole team behind it. They wanted my voice, my story. I sat in the booth, alone, next to a cold plate of eggs, staring at my laptop screen like it had just told me I won the lottery. Except this wasn't luck. This was mine. Built from pain and protein bars, from all the swallowed words I'd stuffed down since I was a kid, from the nights I kept the peace just to keep from being too much. This was me, choosing myself. Finally, I didn't tell anyone. Not yet. Not Sam, not my editor friend, definitely not my family. This wasn't for them. This was for every time I showed up and got brushed aside. Every time I said I'm tired and they rolled their eyes. Every time they acted like being quiet meant being okay. This was for me. 2 days later, Aubrey posted a new video. Another healing journey vlog. This time, She was back in California, sipping wine on a patio, talking about how sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who hurt you the most. Then she said, "I had to learn to put up boundaries, even when it's family, especially when it's family." Then get this, she showed my old room. Like, straight up walked through it with the camera, except now it was her meditation space. Neutral walls, floor pillows, salt lamp, all of it. The caption underneath, "Clearing the past to make space for peace." My jaw actually dropped. They'd remodeled it, boxed up my stuff, repainted the walls, moved in furniture like I never existed. And Aubrey was using it for content, for her brand. I stared at the screen, fists clenched, not angry beyond that. Violated? They'd already erased me from their priorities. Now they were erasing me from the house, too. And the world? They were selling it a prettier story. So I posted something. Not a rant, not a subtweet, not some emotional spiral. Just a photo. Me at my desk in Seattle, manuscript open, coffee mug next to the keyboard, post-it notes everywhere. Caption: telling the story they didn't want told. No tags, neat. But people noticed. My DMs started filling up, friends from high school, coworkers, even my old college roommate. "Is this about your sister's latest video? Dude, are you writing a book?" If this is what I think it is, hell yes. Then Sam called. I picked up, and before I could say anything, he went, "Bro, what the hell? Aubrey's video hit 1 million views." Yeah, I know. People are in the comments calling her brave and spiritual and *T. She's literally filming in your old room. She erased you and turned it into a Zen den. Yeah, I know. Long pause. You okay? I exhaled. I think I am. And weirdly, I meant it. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't waiting for their version of the story to die down. I was writing mine. My publisher sent me cover concepts a week later. They were simple, bold font, no fluff. One of them hit me hard, a torn-out birthday card taped to a wall. Edges curling, no name, just the words, "Maybe next year." I stared at it and felt something twist in my chest. Grief, maybe, but cleaner now. Not heavy, more like the sting of antiseptic sharp, honest, necessary. Then came the family group chat. Yup, the one I hadn't heard from in months suddenly sparked to life. My aunt messaged first, "Just saw something about your book. Is this real?" Then my uncle, "You've always been a good writer. Glad you're using your voice." Then the wave of not-so-nice ones. Aubrey messaged me directly. "You're really doing this, making everything public just to look like a victim." Then, "This is so *kicking petty. Noah, you have no idea what you're doing to Mom." I left her on read. Because for once, I was the one in control. Then Mom called. Not texted, called. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. I could hear the strain in her voice. That rehearsed sadness she uses when she wants to look like the wounded party. "Noah, this book thing, I don't understand. We didn't mean to hurt you, but you never said anything. You never gave us a chance to make it right." I laughed, like out loud. Because the irony, that was me saying something for years. I said it every time I went quiet instead of lashing out. I said it when I showed up, year after year, with no expectations, hoping maybe this would be the time they saw me. They just weren't listening. I sent her one text, "Inks. I'm not writing the book to hurt you. I'm writing it because for the first time, I can..." No reply. No callback, just silence. But not the cold kind, not the weaponized one. This one, peaceful, The week we finalized the manuscript, I got a handwritten letter in the mail. From Dad. He never writes, not even birthday cards. The envelope was plain. No return address. Inside was a single page. His handwriting stiff. Careful. I read your draft. Didn't expect it to hurt as much as it did. I won't tell you to stop, but I will say, I'm sorry. We didn't know how far apart we'd drifted. I hope someday we can talk again, but if not, I understand. I read it twice, then set it down. Didn't cry. Didn't text back. But yeah, it cracked something open. A door, maybe a window. We'll see. I walked down to the bookstore that afternoon, just to be near shelves, to see the spot where someday my book would sit. A woman was browsing next to me, looked around my age. She glanced at the title I was holding and smiled. That one's heavy, but good, I nodded. I'm working on something like it. Actually, yeah. Memoir, about family. She smiled again. That'll resonate. I didn't know if she meant it, but I believed it anyway. Because it already was. The irony is, the closer the book got to being real, the less I needed revenge. I wasn't mad anymore. Not in the way I used to be. Not in that shaking hands, clenched jaw. Why can't you just see me way? It was quieter now. Still sharp, still painful but grounded. Like scar tissue, tougher than skin but not raw. 3 weeks before the launch, my publisher sent me an email that basically said, start preparing for noise. They meant press, interviews, reader reactions, family. All of it. The book had already hit the radar of a few mid-sized blogs. One even titled their article, "The Birthday Cupcake Heard Around the World." I laughed so hard I nearly choked on my tea. But also, yeah. That cupcake, that stupid little cupcake, it cracked the whole damn foundation. I still hadn't spoken to Mom. Or Aubrey. I didn't block them. I didn't reach out either. I left the space open. If they wanted to meet me halfway, cool. But I wasn't walking the whole distance anymore. I was done crawling just to earn a seat at a table I helped build. Then, 2 weeks before release, the phone rang again. It was Aubrey. I don't know why I picked up. Maybe curiosity, maybe closure, maybe I was bored. She didn't even say hi. Just launched into it. I hope you know what you're doing. No, how are you? No congrats. Just that, I didn't say anything. She kept going. You're blowing everything out of proportion. You're literally turning a family misunderstanding into a F***-seeking memoir. It wasn't a misunderstanding, I said, finally. She scoffed. It was one birthday. I felt my chest tighten. No, it was all of them. Silence. Then, you've always been so dramatic. And there it was, the old script, the same tired monologue she'd been performing since we were teenagers. I exhaled. You know what's funny? You get to tell your story on camera every week, you post it, monetize it, package it in pastel captions and tea candles. But the second I tell mine, I'm the villain. I didn't erase you, she snapped. No, you just built your platform on pretending I never existed. Silence again, longer this time. Then she hung up, and I didn't call back. That night, I added a new paragraph to the end of chapter 14. It wasn't spiteful. It wasn't even about her. It was about silence. How silence, over time, becomes louder than any scream. How it can sound like acceptance, or peace, or even maturity. But most of the time, it's just fear, and I was done being afraid. Launch day hit on a Tuesday. It wasn't a huge release, no banners, no TV spots, but it was real. I walked down to the local indie bookstore. They'd stocked 6 copies, stacked them right by the door. The title, Maybe Next Year. My name under it, a photo of a crumpled cupcake wrapper on the back cover. I stood there for a second, let myself feel it. Then a teenager walked in, picked one up, flipped through it, and smiled. I almost cried, not because I needed recognition, but because it was finally out. No more carrying it alone. Then came the internet. The first wave of comments were quiet, a few tweets, some DMs. Then, somehow, a clip from a podcast I'd guested on went viral. Me saying, "It's not about one bad birthday. It's about years of being quietly taught that your feelings are inconvenient." And boom, the floodgates opened. People tagged me in threads, posted their own stories, sent messages like, "You wrote the thing I never had the words for." My sister got a car, I got socks. Reading this in my childhood bedroom and crying like a kid again. It was wild, humbling, beautiful, overwhelming, and a little terrifying, because for the first time ever, I wasn't hiding. Then came my mom. She posted on Facebook, though. Of course she did. A long status about privacy, family loyalty, and how some people twist reality to make themselves look better. She never said my name, but she didn't have to. Aubrey commented, "Truth always wins." Someone else replied, "Is this about Noah's book?" And suddenly, my mom's status had 83 comments. Half support, half confusion, a few heated arguments. And just like that, the family lines were redrawn publicly. Sam messaged me. "You okay?" "Yeah." They're spiraling. Man, I know. Feels like you broke something. I stared at that message for a while. Then typed, "I didn't break it. I just stopped pretending it wasn't already broken." 2 nights later, I was walking home when I passed a window and saw it. My book. On someone's coffee table, just sitting there, like it belonged. I stared at it for a long second, felt something catch in my throat. This was happening. It was real. Then came the weird part. Dad texted me, just 3 words. "Read the book," no punctuation, no follow-up. I waited, but nothing else came. That night, I dreamed I was back in the old house. Empty dining room, birthday candles melting down to nothing. Only this time, I wasn't waiting. I got up, walked outside, and never looked back. The next morning, I bought myself a cupcake. Same kind as before, chocolate. Heavy frosting, stupid sprinkles. But this time, I wasn't angry. I wasn't grieving. I was celebrating, not the book. Not the launch, me. The version of me that finally said, "Screw the script." The version that stayed silent long enough. The one who chose his own damn ending. And yeah, he deserved a cupcake. You know what surprised me the most? It wasn't the book launch, or the internet noise, or even my family imploding in slow motion. It was how peaceful it felt to not go back. I mean, everything in me, everything I was raised with kept whispering, "Circle back, smooth it over, be the good son, the forgiving brother," but I didn't. And nothing exploded. Nobody died. The world didn't end. It just kept turning, without them in my orbit. And damn, was it liberating? 2 weeks after the release, I got an email from a therapist in Portland. She ran group sessions for adult siblings who had gone through emotional neglect. She wrote, "We've used passages from your book to help people open up. I just wanted to say thank you. I read it 3 times. It wasn't about fame or sales. It was about being heard. For years, I felt like I was whispering into a storm, screaming quietly, hoping someone might turn their head. Now, people were not only listening, they were seeing And that was everything. Then one morning, the phone buzzed again. It was a message from Aubrey, not a voice note, not a vague meme. A straight-up text. Mom read your book. She cried, then said you exaggerated. No greeting, no context, just that. I sat there, staring at it, coffee in one hand, phone in the other. I typed, I didn't write it for her. Then deleted it, then typed, I'm glad she read it. Deleted that too. Eventually I just wrote, okay. She didn't reply, and I didn't follow up. One night, I got a call from an unknown number. Normally I don't pick those up, but something told me to answer. It was my dad. His voice was low, tired, like he hadn't slept well in weeks. Hey, just that. I waited. I finished the book, twice, actually. He exhaled. I could hear it in his chest. Some of it hurt, a lot, but it wasn't wrong. That stopped me. I blinked hard. You were always steady, he said. I think we leaned on that too hard. Forgot you needed things. 2. Another pause. I wish we'd done better, and in that moment, I felt it. Not a flood of forgiveness, but the door cracked open. I didn't step through it. But I looked at it, really looked, and I said, thanks for calling, that's all. But it was enough. A few days later, I got tagged in a post by someone I didn't know. It was a photo of my book, next to a half-melted birthday candle and a messy homemade cupcake. The caption, read this on my 30th birthday. Made peace with a lot. Thank you, Noah. I just sat there, staring at that screen, feeling something rise in my chest, not pride exactly, not sadness. Something like truth settling, like all the parts of me that had been stretched thin, dismissed, muted, finally clicking back into place. You know what people never talk about? How healing makes you lonely sometimes. Not forever, but in waves. Because the more you know what you deserve, the less you're willing to beg for crumbs. The more peace you find, the harder it is to tolerate people who live in chaos. And my family, they thrived in the noise. I used to think I needed to get louder to be heard. Turns out, I just needed to leave the room. One night in early spring, I went back to the neighborhood I grew up in. Not to visit, just to see it. I walked past the old house. Lights were on. The porch had new paint. Aubrey's car was out front. I stood across the street for a minute. No nostalgia, no tears, just a quiet, clear knowing that's not home anymore. Never really was. Then I walked back to the train station. Halfway there, a kid on a skateboard passed me. Maybe 14, hoodie too big, earbuds in, reminded me of me at that age. I wondered what he was running from, what he wasn't allowed to say, what truths he'd buried just to keep the family from falling apart. I wanted to tell him, you don't have to keep the peace at the cost of yourself. But I didn't, because I already wrote it. The book stayed on bestseller lists longer than anyone expected. I started getting offers panels, workshops, even a TEDx talk. I declined most, not because I wasn't honored, but because I didn't want to turn my pain into a performance. I'd already lived the content. Now, I just wanted to live. 1 year after release, I got a postcard in the mail. No return address, just a photo of a cabin by a lake, the kind you rent for birthdays. On the back, it said, "Happy birthday, Noah, no cupcake, but you get the whole damn weekend." It was signed, Jay. I laughed so hard I had to sit down. Old roommate, college friend, I wasn't sure. Didn't matter. Because someone remembered. Because I remembered. And that's what mattered. I booked that cabin. Went by myself, brought good coffee, my journal, a playlist of soft, weird indie tracks that make you feel like you're floating. Sat by the fire, watched the lake shimmer in the morning light. And for the first time in years, I didn't check my phone once, didn't think about who forgot me, didn't count how many people showed up, because I did. And that was enough. You want to know the best revenge? It's not blowing up their phones. It's not screaming your truth into the void. It's not even publishing the book. It's this peace, soft, boring, gentle peace. It's waking up and not flinching when you see your own reflection. It's drinking coffee without a lump in your throat. It's celebrating your birthday like you mean it, even if it's just you. Especially if it's just you. Last week, someone emailed me. A reader, first-time mom, estranged from her parents. She wrote, "I bought myself a cupcake today. Read your book again. It didn't make the pain go away, but it made it feel seen." I stared at that sentence for a while. Then walked to the bakery down the street. Bought one for me, one for her, even if she'd never taste it. Took it home, lit a candle. No fanfare, no Instagram post, no proof. Just me, sitting at my kitchen table, smiling, whispering, happy birthday to the version of me who finally came home. Story 2, my name's Drew. I'm 17, and what I'm about to tell you sounds fake, unreal, like the plot of some messed up indie movie, but I swear on everything it happened. It started with my cousin Ellie and I messing around on a dating app called Flick. We weren't looking for love or anything serious, just bored teenagers swiping through weird bios and cringy pickup lines. You know, typical Friday night. Ellie was 16, a year younger than me, and my chaos partner since birth. We'd sit side by side, laugh at bios like looking for my player 2 or photos of dudes flexing next to their mom's car. Then I swiped right on a familiar face, a face that should not have been there. Dark hair, square jaw, smirky smile, a picture in front of our old cabin from last summer. No? No way. I blinked. "Ellie," I said, voice hollow, "tell me I'm seeing things." She leaned over my shoulder, her chewing gum slowing as she squinted at my screen. "Oh my God, Drew, is that—" "Yeah," I muttered. "That's my dad." Her jaw dropped. Why is Uncle Rob on a dating app? I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. My dad, married for almost 2 decades, Sunday grilling, pull my finger jokes, the guy who made hot cocoa when I had the flu. That dad was now a profile pic next to a bio that read, "Looking for fun, fresh starts, let's keep things simple." No mention of my mom, no wedding ring in sight. My pulse pounded in my ears. Maybe it's fake, I said, more to myself than Ellie. Like, maybe someone stole his pictures. Ellie tapped the screen. "This one's from your family trip to Glacier Ridge." I took that photo, and the gut punch landed. This wasn't a catfish. This wasn't a prank. It was real, and my dad was cheating on my mom. On a stupid app, I stared at the screen. Then, without thinking, I swiped right. It matched instantly. Ellie let out a noise between a gasp and a scream. "What, you matched?" I nodded, my mouth dry. I hadn't meant to. My finger just moved before I thought it through. My hands shook. Then came the message. From him. "Hey there, you have a killer smile. You seem chill. Wanna talk?" I gagged. My dad, unaware that he'd just matched with his own son, was hitting on me. This had to be the most disturbing interaction I'd ever had, and I couldn't look away. "What do I do?" I asked. Frozen. Ellie looked wild-eyed. "Get proof. Keep going. You need screenshots." "This feels illegal," I whispered. "You want to tell your mom without hard evidence?" She was right. I hated it, but she was right. I replied with trembling thumbs, "Sure." What are you looking for on here? He answered in less than a minute. Something exciting. Life's too short to stay stuck. I nearly dropped my phone. I wanted to scream. What part of his life was stuck, my mom me? Ellie leaned close. Ask him something specific. Something only he would know. So I typed, "What's your ideal weekend?" He responded, "Waking up early, grabbing coffee from that tiny lakeside cafe, hiking the trails behind Peterson's Ridge, and ending with grilling on the deck. That's what we'd done every year on Memorial Day." He wasn't just playing a role, he was sharing memories he'd made with us, now using them to lure someone else. Ellie whispered, "That confirms it. It's him." I sat there, paralyzed. How could he do this to Mom? She didn't answer, and neither did I. The next message came, "You free this weekend? I know a spot with great views and even better wine." I gagged again. I can't do this. I can't keep talking to him. Ellie grabbed my arm. "Drew, this is your shot. He has no idea. If you stop now, he'll just keep doing it. You have to go deeper." I hesitated. My insides twisted. Then I typed "wine and a view." That sounds perfect. I love surprises. Every word made my skin crawl. But if he was going to betray my mom and pretend to be someone else, he was about to get the surprise of his life. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the messages, the emoji, the great views and wine line. My dad, my literal father, trying to charm a stranger me into a secret date. I didn't know whether to laugh, cry, or throw my phone out a window. The next morning, I watched him butter toast and ask Mom if she wanted her usual tea. My stomach flipped. He was so casual, so normal, as if nothing had happened, as if he wasn't sneaking behind her back with a smirk and a profile pic. I looked at my mom. She smiled at him, unaware, trusting. I wanted to tell her everything right then and there, but Ellie's words from the night before stuck with me. Without proof, he'll deny it all. And I didn't want gaslighting. I didn't want confusion or "you misunderstood." I wanted facts, audio, screenshots, something undeniable. So I made a plan. I texted him back through the app Saturday Works. "Let's meet at that rooftop place on Baxter, 7 p.m. Sound good?" He responded, "Perfect. I'll see you there." I nearly gagged again. Ellie and I spent the next few days prepping like we were planning a sting operation. We wrote a script, practiced what I'd say. She even borrowed her older brother's mic pin and helped me set up a voice recording app on my phone. By Friday night, we had everything mapped out. Ellie looked at me as we huddled in my room. "You sure you want to go through with this?" "No," I admitted, "but I'm going to." Saturday came too fast. I told my mom I was meeting Ellie at the movies. She smiled and handed me a 20 for snacks. "Don't stay out too late, hun." I nodded. I felt sick. At 6:45, Ellie and I arrived outside the restaurant. She wore a hoodie and carried a camera bag. "I'll be at the bar across the street. Text me if you need backup." I nodded again, heart thumping. At 6:59, I walked into the rooftop cafe, and there he was. My dad, wearing a blue button-up and cologne I hadn't smelled since Christmas. He looked up from his phone and smiled. Then froze. "Drew," he said, confused. I pulled out the chair across from him and sat down. He blinked. "What are you doing here?" I leaned forward, resting my elbows on the table. Funny story, I was on Flick. You know, the dating app. His face went pale. "And I matched with someone," I continued. "Thought it was a joke. Thought it looked like you." Then he messaged me. "Drew," he started, voice shaking. So I messaged back, I interrupted, and kept messaging until we agreed to meet. Right here, he opened his mouth, closed it. He looked like someone had pulled the floor out from under him. Why, I asked. That one word landed like a bomb. His shoulders slumped. "It's not what you think," he said finally. I raised my eyebrows. Okay, then tell me what it is. He swallowed hard. Your mom and we've been drifting. It's been a hard year. So you joined a dating app. I didn't plan on anything happening. I was curious. Curious? That's what he called it? I thought you were better than this, I said, my voice tight. I thought you were loyal. I am, he said. Too fast? I never met anyone. Drew, I never cheated. No, I asked. Then what am I doing here? He couldn't answer. You said you wanted excitement. I said, quoting his own message, you said mom didn't understand you. He put his face in his hands. I didn't know it was you. That's the part you're upset about, I snapped. He looked up, eyes tired. I made a mistake, a big one. I leaned back, heart pounding. I recorded this, by the way. His eyes widened. You're not just lying to her, I said. You're lying to our whole family. He didn't argue, just sat there, broken. You have 2 days, I said. Tell her yourself, or I will. I stood. He didn't stop me. Outside, Ellie was waiting. She handed me a water bottle and walked silently beside me. Back home, I went straight to my room. My mom was still watching her mystery show, still smiling when I passed her, still completely unaware. I stared at the ceiling until 3 a.m., wondering how long it had been this way, how long he'd been searching for excitement, how many other near misses he'd had before he accidentally matched with his own son. I didn't want revenge. I just wanted the truth, and I wanted my mom to have it, too. Sunday came and went. Silence. Monday, too. No late-night conversation, no tearful confessions, no awkward family meeting around the dinner table, just silence. My dad went back to normal grilling in the backyard, helping mom carry in groceries, laughing at sitcom reruns like nothing happened. Like he hadn't been caught trying to cheat, like he hadn't been matched by his own son. By Tuesday, I realized something ugly. He wasn't going to tell her. He was hoping I'd drop it, pretend it didn't happen, let him get away with a do-over. But I wasn't going to. Tuesday night, I sat alone in the dark, replaying the recording on my phone, hearing my father talk about needing something more, sounding almost proud of his secret. The audio was clear, clean, my voice calm, his shaky. It was everything I needed. I texted Ellie, me, I'm done waiting. Ellie, you're going to tell her me tomorrow. After school, Ellie, want me there. Me, no. I have to do it alone. She just sent back a red heart emoji. The next day dragged. I couldn't focus. My brain kept rewinding scenes like a broken VHS dad's face at the restaurant. Mom humming while doing dishes, the way they used to dance in the living room during commercials. By 4 p.m., I was standing outside the front door, palms sweating. Inside, I heard her on the phone, laughing with her sister. It hit me that this might be the last time I'd hear that version of her, the one who thought she had a happy marriage. I walked in. She ended the call. Hey, sweetie, how was school? I swallowed. Can we talk? Something in my tone must have tipped her off. Her face changed. Of course. Sit. We sat on opposite sides of the couch. I pulled out my phone and stared at it for a second. I didn't know how to begin, so I just said it. Dad's cheating on you. Her mouth opened, then closed. I found his dating profile, on Flick, matched with him, messaged him, met him. Now she looked horrified. You what? I nodded. He didn't know it was me. I kept it going until I had proof. She said nothing, just stared at me. I hit play. The audio filled the room. My voice, steady. His, sheepish. Him talking about how distant things had been, how he wanted something exciting, how he thought no one would find out. When the recording ended, the silence felt deafening. My mom blinked slowly. Then she said, "Play it again." So I did. She sat stiffly, arms crossed, her expression unreadable. When it finished the second time, she looked at me. You matched with him on a dating app? I nodded again. I would never have believed it if it wasn't his voice, she whispered. Then she stood up and walked to the kitchen. I followed. I'm sorry. I didn't know how else to tell you. She poured a glass of water, her hands trembling. No, I'm glad you did. I wasn't expecting that. She turned toward me, eyes glassy. I had a feeling something was off, but I thought I was imagining it. You don't want to believe your husband could do something like this. I looked down. I told him to tell you. Gave him 2 days. 2 days too long, she said coldly. We sat in the quiet again, like the air had changed. It had. Something between us was broken, but not between me and her. Between her and the man who pretended to be someone he wasn't. I want to be clear, she said after a long pause. This wasn't your fault, I know that. I nodded, but my throat burned anyway. Then her face changed more resolute, more focused. I need time, she said, but I'm not letting this go. Neither was I. That night, she didn't say anything to him, neither did I, but the house felt colder. He sensed something. He kept glancing at me over dinner, like I was a ticking bomb. And he was right, because the next night, she finally spoke. We were eating lasagna, his favorite, when she looked up and said, Rob, how long have you been on Flick? His fork froze midair. What? Don't lie, she said. He went pale. I don't know what you're talking about. I do, I said. He looked at me, panic in his eyes. She pulled out her phone, pressed play. The same audio, again. He flinched, stared at his plate. It wasn't serious. It was enough to meet someone. I said, You met our son? Mom added, voice sharp. He looked at her like he'd seen a ghost. I never meant for it to go that far. But it did, she said, and you lied. I didn't cheat, he argued. You tried, she snapped. You made the profile. You made the choice. He looked at her, then at me. You set me up. I stood. You set yourself up. I just exposed it. My mom rose too. You're sleeping on the couch until we figure out what's next. He didn't argue. He just stood there, alone in the kitchen, lasagna cooling on his plate, while we walked away. And for the first time in days, I felt lighter. It's wild how fast a family can change. 1 week ago, I thought we were normal, solid, safe. Now my mom cried in the laundry room when she thought I couldn't hear. My dad slept on the couch like a guest in his own home. And I sat in my room every night wondering if I just lit a match to everything I knew. The morning after the confrontation, things got even weirder. Dad tried to act normal, made coffee, flipped pancakes. Mom didn't speak to him once. I grabbed my bag and started to leave for school when he caught me at the door. Drew, he said quietly. I turned but didn't speak. He looked like he hadn't slept. His eyes were sunken, voice strained. We need to talk. I nodded. Not now. Then when you're ready to tell the truth without expecting me to clean up after it, he didn't stop me. That afternoon, I skipped study group and came straight home. Mom was in the backyard, sitting on the steps in her hoodie, hugging a mug of tea like it was all she had. Mind if I join you? I asked. She didn't answer, just patted the step next to her. We sat in silence for a while. Finally, she said, he wants to go to therapy. I blinked. Couples therapy. She nodded. He said he regrets everything, that he didn't mean to hurt me, that it was all a mistake. Do you believe him? She exhaled. I believe he's sorry he got caught. I stayed quiet. That was exactly how it felt to me too. Drew, she said slowly, I need you to know something. I looked over. This wasn't your fault. What you did, how you handled it, it took guts. I would have kept sleeping beside a man who was betraying me if not for you. My throat tightened. I didn't want to break us. You didn't? She said he did, but now I get to choose what happens next. That night, I started thinking about what I needed. Not just for her. Not for him. For me. And the truth was, I needed distance. I needed space to breathe without walking on emotional landmines in every room. I messaged my cousin Jamie, who lived 30 minutes away. Me, hey, think I could stay with you a few days? Jamie, you okay me? Not really, but I will be. She picked me up that night. I left a note for Mom on the counter. I'm not running, just need air. I love you. We'll talk soon. Drew. Jamie didn't ask many questions. Just handed me a pillow and said, I got extra hot Cheetos and no curfew. Exactly what I needed. The next few days were weirdly healing. I laughed again, slept without hearing my parents whisper yelling behind thin walls. And most importantly, I got clarity. One afternoon, Jamie and I sat on the porch eating popsicles. She asked, You gonna go back? I don't know, I said honestly, I want to, but I also don't want to live in a house where trust has to be constantly negotiated. She nodded. My dad cheated on my mom when I was 10. I remember how that felt. Even when they tried to fix it, it never went back to before. Did you forgive him? She paused. Not for a long time, but eventually, yeah. Doesn't mean I forgot though. That stuck with me. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending nothing happened. It means choosing to stop letting the past control you. By Sunday, I went home. Mom met me at the door, hugged me without words. Dad wasn't there. She said he was staying with a friend for a while. I asked for space, she said, and told him if he wants this to work, really work, it'll take more than words. I don't know yet if I'll take him back, but I know I won't let him lie his way through it. I hugged her back. Whatever you choose, I'll support you. Then I added, but I won't forget either. She nodded. Me neither. That night, I sat on my bed and opened Flick not to match with anyone, just to delete my account. Before I did, a message popped up from someone I didn't recognize. You look like you've been through it, Allie. I almost ignored it. But something made me respond. Long week. You could say that, me. Want to talk about it, Allie? Only if you like hearing weird, dramatic stories about cheaters, lies, and accidental catfishing, me. My favorite genre, Allie. I laughed, actually laughed. Maybe, just maybe, the mess gave me something I didn't expect. Perspective. Strength. A fresh start? Final thoughts for the YouTube audience. Sometimes the people who are supposed to protect you are the ones who hurt you the most. And sometimes, doing the right thing means risking everything just to make sure someone you love sees the truth. I don't know if my family will ever be the same. I don't know if my dad will ever be someone I trust again. But I know this. Lies unravel eventually. And when they do, the only thing stronger than the fallout is the courage it took to face it. Thanks for sticking with me through the madness. Stay real, stay curious. And don't ever swipe right on someone who wears your dad's cologne. Seriously, just don't. Story 3. My name is Kira. I'm 22, and I really wish I had never touched my mom's phone that day. It was a quiet Sunday, rain tapping against the windows. I was curled up on the couch, midway through a rewatch of my favorite show, when Mom Anna walked in holding her phone with that signature frustrated face. Kira, can you look at this thing? It's frozen again. This wasn't unusual. She'd always been terrible with tech. I paused my show, reached for her phone, and said, What happened this time? No idea. I was trying to check my messages. Then it glitched. Now it won't load anything. I did what I always did, pressed a few buttons, cleared some apps, restarted it, and just like that, it worked again. Easy fix. But then something odd happened. A notification popped up at the top of the screen. It wasn't a text or a missed call. It was a message preview from a name I didn't recognize. Damon, last night was everything. I can't stop thinking about you. I froze. Mom didn't notice she was already walking into the kitchen to make tea. My hands trembled slightly. My heart pounded in my ears. I knew I shouldn't, but I tapped on it. It opened a private messaging app I'd never seen before. There were dozens of messages. Flirty, intimate, sometimes explicit. Photos, voice notes, from a man who definitely wasn't my dad. I scrolled, half in shock, half in horror. The conversations weren't new. They stretched back for months, maybe longer. My mom, my sweet, church-going, family-first mom, was cheating. And not just emotionally. There were hotel bookings, coordinated meetups, secret weekends she told us were retreats with her friends. I sat there, numb, the room spinning. When she returned with 2 mugs of tea, she didn't notice my pale face. "Thanks, sweetheart," she said, taking her phone back. "You're a lifesaver." I just nodded, but inside, something had cracked. That night, I barely slept. I couldn't look at her the same way. I kept remembering all the times she kissed Dad goodbye, all the anniversaries she posted about on Facebook, all the speeches about loyalty she gave my brother when his relationship failed. It was all a lie, and I didn't know what to do. Tell Dad, confront her. Pretend I never saw it. I felt sick with guilt, like I was the one who did something wrong just by seeing it. I texted my best friend Mia. "Me, if you found out your mom was cheating, what would you do, Mia, on your dad?" "WTF? Me, yeah, I saw the messages. Mia, holy *T. You okay? Me, no. Mia, want me to come over me tomorrow. I need to think." The next morning, I avoided my mom like the plague. I left early, ate breakfast in my room, pretended I had online classes all day. But by dinner, I couldn't hide anymore. She knocked on my door. "Kira, are you mad at me? You've been so quiet." I stared at her. She looked normal, like the same mom who baked cookies when I was sick, the same mom who held me during breakups, the same mom who lied with a straight face. "No, I lied. Just tired." She smiled. "Okay, well, come down soon. Dad made his famous spaghetti." Dad, who was downstairs cooking dinner for a woman he didn't know was betraying him. That's when I knew I couldn't keep this to myself. Even if it destroyed everything, the next day, Mia came over. We sat on my bed, phones off, door locked. I told her everything, showed her the messages, let her hear a voice note where Mom literally said, "Can't wait to feel your hands on me again." Mia looked like she wanted to puke. "Jesus, Kira, this is serious." "I know. What are you going to do?" "I don't know. She'll deny it. Say it was emotional. Or blame Dad. Or me. You need proof." Mia said, "Something undeniable? Screenshots? A backup." "I can't risk her seeing me snoop again. Then email it to yourself, quietly. Tonight." I hesitated. Mia leaned closer. "If this was your dad cheating, would you keep it a secret?" That hit hard. No, I wouldn't. So I nodded. "Okay, tonight." That evening, when everyone had gone to bed, I crept downstairs and grabbed her phone from the charger. I knew her passcode. I opened the app. The messages were still there, still active. I started taking screenshots every chat, every photo, every message with timestamps, so. Then I emailed everything to myself. But just as I was about to put the phone back, another message came in. "Damon, I want to see you this weekend. Same hotel, room 503. I clicked on his profile. And what I saw made my blood run cold. He wasn't just some random guy. He was my dad's boss. I recognized him from the company picnic last summer. He even gave a speech about integrity and teamwork. This wasn't just a betrayal. It was a bomb. If this came out, It wouldn't just destroy our family, it could wreck Dad's job. And maybe that was why Mom kept it secret so long. But it was too late now. The truth was out. And someone had to do something about it. I didn't sleep that night. I stared at the ceiling. The glow of my phone screen still seared into my vision. My mom, my family, my entire life suddenly built on sand. I kept hearing Damon's voice in my head. Room 503. Same hotel? My mom didn't even try to hide it. When morning came, I had already made my decision. I wasn't going to pretend anymore. At breakfast, I sat down across from her at the kitchen table. Dad was at work. My younger brother was still asleep. It was just me and her. She smiled like nothing was wrong, sipping her coffee, scrolling through Pinterest like the night before hadn't happened. I took a deep breath. We need to talk. She looked up, surprised. About what, sweetie? About Damon. Her face went blank, completely still. I watched the color drain from her cheeks. I saw the messages. I continued. I know everything. The meetups, the hotel, all of it. She didn't speak for a moment. Then, quietly, she said, "You went through my phone." I laughed, bitter and cold. "You asked me to fix it. You handed it to me." She sat up straighter. "You had no right to read my private messages." I slammed my hand on the table. "You had no right to cheat on Dad." Silence. For a full minute, we just stared at each other, breathing hard. Then she stood up and walked to the sink, her back turned. "You don't understand," she said softly. "Oh, trust me," I said, my voice shaking. "I understand perfectly. You're cheating on your husband with his boss. You're lying to all of us, and you're risking Dad's job on top of everything." She turned back to me, eyes sharp now. "Your father hasn't cared about this marriage in years. He's distant, cold. I needed something else." "That's not an excuse," I snapped. "If you're unhappy, talk to him, leave, don't sneak around like a coward." That word hit her. I could see it in her face, but instead of apologizing, she turned defensive. "You have no idea what it's like to live with someone who barely speaks to you," she said, "who forgets your birthday, who comes home late and pretends he's just tired. And cheating fixes that. Lying to your kids, sneaking out behind everyone's back." Her jaw clenched. "This isn't your business." "It is now," I said, "because I have everything. The screenshots, the messages, the voice notes, I sent them to myself." She looked like she'd been slapped. "You, what?" I backed it all up. I said, standing, "In case you try to delete it or lie your way out of this, I'm not stupid. I'm not a kid anymore. You're blackmailing your own mother." "No," I said coldly, "I'm protecting my dad." She didn't say another word. I left the kitchen with my hands shaking, my heart racing like I'd just jumped off a cliff, because in a way, I had. Later that day, Dad came home early. I was in my room, door cracked just enough to hear them talking downstairs. "I think we should talk," Mom said, her voice too calm. Dad's tone was confused. "Okay, what's going on? I've been seeing someone." I stopped breathing. There was silence. Heavy, terrifying silence. Then Dad said, "What do you mean seeing someone?" "A man." She replied, "It started a while ago. I didn't plan for it. It just happened." Another long pause. "And you're telling me this now because Kira found out," she said quietly. "She saw the messages." My stomach twisted. So now I was the problem. I couldn't hear the rest. I closed my door, leaned against it, and slid to the floor. Mia texted me an hour later. "Mia, did you do it?" Me. "Yeah," she told him. "Mia, how did he react?" Me, "He didn't yell. He didn't even sound angry. Just disappointed." Mia, "That's worse." Me, "I know." That evening, Dad knocked on my door. "Kira." His voice was soft. "Come in." He stepped inside. closing the door gently behind him. He looked tired, like he'd aged 10 years in one afternoon. "I just wanted to say thank you," he said, "for telling the truth. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner." He shook his head. "You shouldn't have had to carry that alone." We sat in silence for a while. Then he asked, "Do you still have the proof?" I nodded. "Yeah, everything. Keep it, just in case." That scared me a little. The way he said just in case, like he didn't trust her not to twist the story. I wanted to ask what he was going to do next. File for divorce? Move out? But I didn't, because part of me already knew he didn't have the answer either. A few days passed. Mom stopped talking to me unless she had to. She still tried to act normal around my brother, but it was fake, like a mask slipping at the edges. Then, one night, I overheard her on the phone. "No, it's fine," she whispered. "He doesn't know the full story. Kira's just emotional. I'll fix it. Fix it." She was still lying, still protecting Damon. That's when I decided to tell my brother. He was younger, just turned 16, and way more sensitive than he let on, but he had a right to know. We sat on the front steps. I told him everything gently, carefully. He didn't cry, but he looked broken. "Why would she do that?" he asked. "We were good, weren't we?" "Yeah," I said. "We were." That night, he didn't come down for dinner. Mom asked where he was. I said, "He knows." She didn't ask how. The house felt like a war zone. Dad barely spoke. Mom floated around like a ghost. My brother locked himself in his room with headphones on. One night, Dad called a family meeting. We sat around the dining table like strangers. "I'm moving out," he said. "Just for a while. I need space to think." Mom said nothing. My brother stared at the table. I couldn't even look at them. After dinner, I packed a small bag and went to stay at Mia's. I needed air. But I couldn't outrun the fallout, because a week later, my mom did something I didn't expect. She showed up at Mia's door, tears in her eyes, and said, "Can we talk?" Against my better judgment, I let her in. She sat on the edge of the couch and looked at me like I was a stranger. "I'm sorry," she said. "I know I hurt you, and your father, and I don't deserve your forgiveness." I waited, but I need you to understand, I was lonely for a long time, and Damon made me feel seen. I stared at her, disgusted. "So you destroyed your family to feel seen?" "I didn't plan this," she said. "I never wanted to hurt anyone." "But you did, and you kept doing it even after you got caught." She looked down. "I don't hate you," I said, "but I don't trust you either, and I don't think I ever will again." She nodded slowly. "I'll give you space." She left without asking me to come home. It was the first unselfish thing she'd done in weeks. The house I used to call home no longer existed. Sure, the walls were still there. The couch still had that stain from when my brother spilled soda on it. The fridge still hummed the same annoying tune when the door stayed open too long. But everything inside shattered. I stayed at Mia's for a while. Her mom welcomed me like one of her own. No judgment, just space. But part of me still felt stuck in that house, like my soul hadn't moved out yet. I texted my brother daily. He didn't say much, but at least he answered. Dad sent the occasional message. "Hope you're okay. Still thinking things through." Mom radio silence. Until the envelope came. It arrived at Mia's house, hand-delivered. No stamp, no return address. Inside, a letter written in my mom's unmistakably delicate handwriting and a pile of screenshots. She had printed out texts, not hers, mine. Private messages between me and Mia, conversations with Dad, even an old group chat I'd forgotten about. All twisted. Taken out of context, some highlighted with pen. At the bottom of the letter, she wrote, "You want to start a war. Kira, fine. But don't forget, I'm still your mother. I know how to hit where it hurts. I sat there, stunned. This wasn't guilt anymore. This wasn't regret. This was revenge. That night, I told Mia everything. She read the letter in silence, then said, "She's spiraling." "No," I replied. "She's calculating. She knows exactly what she's doing." Mia frowned. "What's her angle?" "I think she's trying to make me the villain. Like, if she paints me as manipulative, Dad might come back, or at least feel sorry for her." Mia leaned forward. "Then we play smart. You already backed up everything, right?" I nodded. Every screenshot, every message. I even saved the audio files from the voice notes Damon sent her. Mia gave a grim smile, then let her dig her own grave. Things escalated quickly. Mom started telling family members that I'd hacked her phone, that I'd fabricated messages to tear the family apart. At first, people believed her. Aunts and uncles sent me passive-aggressive messages. "You really should have kept that private. Families aren't perfect. Airing it out helps no one." I ignored them all. But when she sent an email to my university claiming I had mental instability and behavioral issues, I snapped. She had crossed a line. And this time, I wasn't going to let her retreat behind the "I'm still your mom" defense. I got a lawyer. He wasn't some flashy big-name guy, just someone who specialized in family disputes and personal defense. But the second he read the email she sent to my school, his face went hard. "She's attempting character assassination," he said. "If this keeps up, we file a formal restraining order." "Even though she's my mother," I asked. He nodded. "Especially because of that." Meanwhile, Dad had quietly moved into a rented apartment on the edge of town. He didn't take much, just some clothes, a few photos, his laptop. He left the big stuff behind. Mom tried to spin it as a temporary break, but I could see it in his eyes. When we met for coffee, he was gone for good. "She keeps texting me," he said, rubbing his forehead. "One minute she's apologizing, the next she's threatening to tell my boss about Damon. Would that even do anything?" I asked. "She doesn't care if it does," he muttered. "She just wants someone to suffer." The turning point came with a phone call from Damon's wife. Yes, Damon was married, and now apparently separated. She had found out everything, some of it through her own digging, and some through whispers that had made their way to her from mutual friends. But she'd heard the final confirmation from an anonymous tip: me. "I know you're the daughter," she said calmly. "I don't want to hurt your family more than it already is, but I think you deserve to know this isn't the first time your mother and Damon did this." My blood ran cold. "Wait, you mean they've had something going on for years? Not always physical, but enough. He always said it was over, but it never really was." I hung up, feeling like the ground had fallen out from under me. That weekend, Dad invited us all, me, my brother, and even Mom, for a family meeting. I almost didn't go, but I did, for closure. We met at his apartment, neutral ground. Mom came late, wearing a fake smile and sunglasses, like she was the victim in all this. The moment she sat down, Dad said, "This ends now." She raised an eyebrow. "Excuse me." "You've twisted this long enough," he said. "I'm filing for divorce." The words hit like a bomb. "I already have everything I need: documents, evidence, witness statements." Mom scoffed. "You're choosing her over me." "I'm choosing the truth," he said firmly. "You betrayed me. You betrayed our family. And then you tried to make our daughter pay for your mess." Her face contorted with rage. "This is what you want, Kira, to destroy me." I stood up slowly. "No, I just wanted you to stop lying, but you couldn't even give me that." She didn't fight back, not then. She left in silence, slamming the door behind her. But we knew it wasn't over. A week later, a legal notice arrived. She was suing Dad for spousal abandonment and demanding alimony. A second notice followed, accusing me of emotional abuse. I handed both to my lawyer. He read them, sighed, and said, She's unraveling. She wants us to break. I said, she wants to win by wearing us down. But we won't let her, he said. You've done everything right. Now let the system work. The court date was set. Dad was ready. I was ready. And even though it felt like the final battle hadn't come yet, I knew we were close. The storm was almost over, but Mom, she was just getting started. Court days feel different, heavier. The air's thicker, like it knows secrets are about to be dragged into the light. My dad wore his only suit. I wore a blazer I borrowed from Mia. My hands were sweating, even though it was cold inside the courthouse. Mom walked in 10 minutes late, holding a designer bag she definitely couldn't afford anymore, flanked by her lawyer. Her lips were red, her expression unreadable. She didn't even glance at us. Her game face was on. But so was mine. The courtroom wasn't full, but the energy, tense. My dad's lawyer started strong, clear timelines, printed messages, proof of the affair, bank records showing Mom funneled money out of their joint account into a hidden one. Then came the bombshell, a voice recording I had taken months ago. In it, Mom admitted she'd used my phone login to access my accounts just to check on things. That alone crushed the emotional abuse claims she'd filed against me. She didn't even flinch as it played, but her lawyer did. Then came the witness, someone I never expected to speak on our behalf, Damon's wife. Well, ex-wife now. She walked in, calm and composed, with a manila folder in hand. The judge allowed her to speak due to the relevance. She opened with, "This isn't just about a divorce, it's about patterns." She detailed how my mom and Damon's relationship started before I even knew about it, how she had proof they'd collaborated on bank fraud to siphon money from a nonprofit they once worked with, how Mom had forged signatures, manipulated accounts, and lied with confidence. My jaw dropped. Even my dad looked stunned. Turns out, this wasn't just about a broken marriage. This was about who my mother had become when no one was looking. When it was finally Mom's turn to speak, she stood without looking at me. She didn't deny the affair. She didn't even try to deny the financial manipulation. Instead, she said this. "I did what I had to do. I gave everything to this family. And when I needed a little bit of joy, just a moment for myself, I was made into the villain. My own daughter turned against me. What kind of loyalty is that?" The courtroom was dead silent. I slowly stood. With the judge's permission, I addressed her. "You didn't lose me because of an affair," I said, my voice steady. "You lost me when you made me the enemy for telling the truth, when you used my privacy as a weapon, when you chose control over love. You weren't looking for joy. You were looking for power." Mom sat down, but I could tell those words hit. Not because she cried, she didn't, but because she didn't say anything else. A week later, the ruling came in. Dad was granted the divorce, with full protection from alimony claims. I was granted a permanent restraining order. Mom was charged with identity fraud and false claims, and her bank accounts were frozen for investigation. She lost her house, her car, her grip. We didn't celebrate. How do you throw a party for the collapse of your own family? Months passed. I moved into a small apartment with Mia. Dad transferred to a branch in another city to start fresh. My brother started therapy, quietly working through his own version of the fallout. And Mom, last I heard, she was living with a distant cousin, hopping between temp jobs, still blaming everyone but herself. She sent me one letter after the case. No apology, just 3 words, "You'll regret this." I never replied. I kept it, though not as a threat, but as proof, a reminder of where I came from, of what I escaped. People ask me if I miss her. Honestly, I miss the idea of her, the mom I thought I had, the warmth I believed was real. But the person she became, I can't miss that. What I do have now is peace. No random texts at midnight, no financial traps. No secrets poisoning the air in my house. Just quiet. And in that quiet, I'm learning to trust again, to breathe fully, to laugh without checking who's listening. This story doesn't end with revenge. It ends with survival, with freedom, and with the kind of strength I didn't know I had until my world fell apart and I realized I was still standing,